President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa is pleased that China has committed to increase trade between the two countries. Ramaphosa made the remarks following a meeting with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping as part of a state visit. Thereafter, the president will lead a delegation of ministers at the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation, which will run until Thursday. This is Ramaphosa's first state visit since the new government of national unity was formed. He says this visit will improve relations between Beijing and Pretoria. Well, as I mentioned, international editor, SABC News international editor Sophie Mokoena is in Beijing for us, and she joins us live. A very good afternoon, Sophie. So, of course, the president has met with his counterpart, Xi Jinping. What's coming out of those discussions?
Yes, Nompi, we are coming live from Beijing, China. Earlier on, President Cyril Ramaphosa had a meeting with his Chinese counterpart, President Xi Jinping. This is the state visit. As you know that last year, President Xi Jinping, on the margins of BRICS, did embark on a state visit in South Africa, where he made promises in terms of strengthening the relations between the two countries. And therefore, the president decided that before the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation Summit on Wednesday, he will do the same. And they met today. The focus was on how South Africa and China can work together in terms of strengthening the relationship between the two countries. Those relationships revolves around trade and investment, issues of agriculture, science and technology, culture, and also the issue of electricity or supply of energy. And we saw the two countries exchanging views and also signing agreements. 8 of those agreements were signed by ministers of agriculture, minister of public works, and the minister of electricity, including the minister of science and technology. We are told that this will take the relationship to a higher level because particularly on issues of agriculture, they are going to find a way to resolve the issue of South Africa exports to China. As you know that China is a huge market. We know that trade between the two countries is skewed and it is in favor of China. And with these agreements, they are trying to narrow that deficit. And the president saying that he's confident that signing these agreements will assist in addressing the issue of trade imbalance. We also know that they also spoke about challenges facing the continent, issues of peace and security, and also globally peace and security. As you know that China has been playing a very important role in trying to ensure that Ukraine and Russia do have those talks, and finally that war in Ukraine is handled, and therefore you have peace in Ukraine. But the issue of the Middle East, you know that a few weeks ago, the leadership of Hamas was in the country, including other groups in Middle East, particularly in Palestine, to try and come together to agree on a way forward in addressing challenges facing Palestine. As you know that currently the country is struggling after those bombardment of Israel on Gaza, and some of them extending to even other areas outside Gaza. And therefore the issue of peace and security globally featured high on the agenda. The strengthening of the South-South, as you know that both countries belong to countries of the South, and also President Ramaphosa saying that South Africa will be hosting the G20 summit next year, and therefore it is expected that President Xi Jinping will attend that G20 summit next year. And President saying that again at that summit, high on the agenda will be how the countries of the South or the developing South will work together to ensure that they address challenges facing their respective countries, and perhaps a call to the developed countries to assist the developing nations. Tomorrow, the president will have another meeting in some areas or in the parts of China to see what China is doing in terms of development. And later then it will be on Wednesday where the focus will be now on FOCAC. And also on Thursday, we know that many heads of states and government have already arrived here in China, and that meeting of African heads of state and government with the head of state of China, Xi Jinping, is expected again to focus on strengthening the trade relations between Africa and China. We know that currently Africa is the largest trading partner of China when you look at different regions around the world. Back to you in studio, Nompu.
Thank you so much for that overview, SABC News International Editor Sophie Mokoena.